Today, I'm going to share with you my entire meditation process. I've made another video about meditation, just a basic tutorial on how to do it and why it might be something that you might want to consider. But today, I'd like to show you my current meditation process, everything that I do, and maybe this can inspire you or just give you some more things to think about when you're doing your practice to enhance it or take it to the next level. So first, what I do is I find a place to sit down. I normally do this in my room, and what I do is I sit on a little pad, little donut pad, and it just allows me to have a little bit of cushion so I'm not, distracted by a pain in my butt sitting on the ground. And it also, because it's, a good amount of cushion, it allows me to be a little bit higher up off the ground. So when my legs are crossed on the ground, it's not as uncomfortable and I can sit up straighter. If I'm on the ground all the way, I tend to want to slouch. So just that little bit, just a couple inches, allows me to sit up a little bit straighter, which I think is very powerful for meditation. So I mentioned this in the video that I talked about meditation, the actual process, and it's a type of meditation called Isha Kriya from Sadhguru, and it's what I've been practicing recently. And the practice is, as you breathe in, you repeat in your brain, in your mind, I am not this body. As you exhale, you say, and again inside, I am not this mind. And then what I do is I do that process, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And then I also say, I am not this body. And on the exhale, every other time I say, I am not even these thoughts. So I on the exhale, I bounce back and forth between I am not this mind and I am not even these thoughts. And so I do that. Now, Isha Kriya, I think there's a deeper process. It's like you do that for 7 minutes or something like that and you do something else. I just find however long that I determine to do it, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, I just stay in that mode the entire time. I always start my meditation, because this is how I first started meditating, with a quote from Bruce Lee. And I think he said this originally in a TV show, and then he adapted it and used it in one of his movies. But it's the famous quote about water. He's said it in interviews. And in this quote being like water, this quote for me, when I first learned to meditate, was all about being as still as a lake, still as a flat lake. That's what I wanted my mind and my thoughts to be. And so it was just a practice that I've always had. So every time I sit down and I first open up my hands and I just sit down with legs crossed and I start to breathe, I always start with that, because that's just it just kind of gets me in the mood. So the water quote, if you haven't looked it up, you can look up Bruce Lee, like water, and he'll go over the entire quote. With that, it's probably better if you hear it from him versus from me, because he put some flair on it. So that's how I start. Then I go into the Isha Kriya, where I say, I am not this body, I am not this mind. On the inhale, I am not this body. On the exhale, I am not even these thoughts. And now the deeper process, and this is something that I'm doing currently, and I'm really finding that I enjoy this process, and I can stay in the meditative process with these visuals. So we have, kinesthetic, which is more feeling. So you can kind of feel the breath coming in and out of the body. You have auditory, you can hear the sounds coming in and out, and then visual, right? And so I try to get as much as I can, but I'm really focusing on the visual right now. And what I visualize as I'm doing this is I kind of visualize I'm in a control room. So like, I don't know if you think about like NASA or whatever, where they have like all these huge big screens and stuff like that, and there are people typing away at computers with little computers in between. Well, I imagine a gigantic room like that, like a football field, and I'm in the center, or my soul is kind of like in the center, like an entity of me is in the center. And on the screen, on one of the screens, kind of like in the distance, is me sitting there meditating, right? And I'm kind of watching. I'm like the controller, the programmer for this JD in real life, but I'm behind the scenes. I'm in some other dimension as I'm doing this. Again, this is my visual process. I kind of get myself into that area and I see this as I'm meditating. So the whole time I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm focusing on breathing in, I am not this body, breathing out, I am not this mind, and I keep that process going. But I'm in this control room and I'm controlling this body. I'm making it breathe in, I'm making it have that thought, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And what I like to do is I kind of visualize those big screens, right? And I imagine now it's 360 degrees, these big black TV screens going all around me, and I'm in the center kind of watching them and controlling them. And so what I like to think about is, and it helps keep me in a rhythm, is those screens, there's 2 sets of them. And let's see if I can show you. And again, I'm just imagine, I'm a good artist, and imagine that this is, again, going 360 degrees. So these big screens. And as I'm breathing in, they start to light up, and they'll say on them, I am not this body. So on the inhale, I am not this body comes up on the big screens, like I on one, am not this body, boom, 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 boom. And then as I exhale, I am not this mind, and it comes down to this lower one. So those 2 levels of that, and it just keeps going. So I also visualize, I know it's a lot of visualization, but again, this really helps me stay in the moment because I'm focusing on all these different things. I'm breathing in, breathing out, and it gives my mind something to focus on, again, to create this separation from my body. Again, my body in this moment is somewhere way out there. I'm literally in another dimension where I'm allowing myself just to focus on my breathing. And this really helps focus on the process. And this, again, is something that I've found for myself has really enhanced it. And I've had some really deep meditations and I've had some really good results with this. So, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And what I kind of visualize is like if you've done math, all right, like a sine wave. So the wave comes up, and it turns on all these TVs. I am not this body, it comes up. And then as it crosses this midline right here, it shuts those ones off, they all go black, and then it turns on, I am not even these thoughts, or I am not this mind. And as I inhale, it comes up, turns them on. As I exhale, it comes down, and it turns them off, or it turns on the other ones. So I have this kind of sine wave function going around nice and smooth, and it matches my breathing pattern. So as I breathe in, it goes up. As I breathe out, it goes down, breathing in, breathing out. And it's in this room, this 360 degree room with all of these TVs. And what I visualize, I'm sitting there and it's just going around, and I'm in that control room just watching it going up, going down. I am not this body. So I'm observing this scene, and I'm the only one in the control room. I'm observing this scene, and I'm observing my body doing this process. And if I start to wander, right, if I start to think about other things, I just put myself right back in that control room and go, okay, control the body again. It started thinking about, and it's kind of like, imagine, there was an error, right? There's an error, it's NASA. There's something wrong with the space flight or something like that, and the guys at the control room had to punch in numbers and do something. I'm the controller, and I go, oh, he's not focusing. This guy, which is me, this guy that we're trying to control, this spaceship, let's just say, is not doing what he wanted to do. Let's recalibrate. Okay, back on track. So I'm kind of like behind the scenes, able to control this body that's just sitting there, just breathing in, breathing out. But I just let that happen, and I just let it go around and around. That sine wave function is coming up and down as I breathe in, as I breathe out, and it's lighting up the TVs. I am not this body, I am not this mind. And all those visuals that are going on gives my brain something to focus on, because I'm someone that has I can go from one thing to the next. I have all these different thoughts. So I can be sitting there breathing, in, breathing out, and I can have all these different thoughts, and I can be breathing in and out, but I can think about this and think about this and think about this. So sometimes I need a little bit more stimulation for myself to stay focused on a task. And so this is just a visual process that I do. And then now, I know it sounds very complicated, but for me, it's just very simple. I'm in the control room, I see the TVs, I can visualize it, I can see it, I can see the sine wave function go up and come down and go up and come down, and it turns on the TVs and then it turns them off and it turns on the ones below and it goes up and down, up and down. And then I'm just there, just breathing and literally just following it with the breath. I see the wave go up, turns the TVs on, see the wave come down, turns the other ones on, and it just keeps going and going, and I just let it go all the way around. And maybe I'll do that 2-3 times, however many minutes that I sit down to do. Another thing that I do is I like to use noise canceling headphones. I didn't bring them out with me, but noise canceling headphones, I like that because noise canceling allows me to be kind of in a little cocoon. But I also listen to a song, and not like anything with lyrics or anything, but I've been listening recently to this song by Aphex Twin, Aphex Twin, called Stone in Focus. And I actually don't listen to the original song. I slow it down to half speed, and it's just kind of more ambient noise. It's not very, it doesn't really, especially at half speed, it doesn't really sound much like a song. But again, it's just giving me something else to just be away from it all. And just, again, kind of like I'm in another dimension. I'm in my own little dimension of this control room, watching the process happen to my physical body, which is just sitting in my room on the little pad. So lots of different things going on. But again, for me, this has allowed me to get very deep into the meditation. And I mean, at times where I'm just like, I don't even want to come out of this because I feel so incredible. It just, I don't know what the magic is. We talk about how, meditation has all these fantastic properties, but I think because we're so stimulated today, getting out of that stimulation and allowing yourself just to be focused on the breathing and have no other demands on the body. I'm just going through this process up and down. There's no, big, huge goal or anything like that. I'm not trying to get anywhere. I'm not trying to, accomplish anything other than just being there, present with my breath, and creating that little bit of separation between the body, between the mind, between the thoughts, and allowing life to just flow through the body, the mind, and the thoughts. But again, with that separation. So we're not so attached to it. It's just that free flow that goes through. So that's my meditative process that I'm doing currently. I would normally just be doing a breathing meditation where I'm just breathing in, breathing out, and focusing on that. But I started to have the visual of that sine wave of coming up and coming down. As I breathe in, it comes up. As I breathe out, it comes down. And then I started, it just kind of came to me with the Isha Kriya, I am not this body, I am not this mind. And I started seeing these TVs, and then I put myself in a control room. And now I have this big visualization that I can go through that really puts me in state and allows me, again, to stay focused on that versus having all these other distractions. I can see that and visualize it and be in that control room and just have it going around 360 degrees as I sit there and meditate. So that's my process right now. I'll share some other processes if I change that in the future, but as of right now, that's what I'm doing. That's my meditative process, and I'd love to hear what your process is as well. And if you have any questions about what I'm using in regard to like the pad that I'm sitting on or the headphones that I use, shoot me a comment and we'll chat. But thank you, and until next time, I'll see you then.